This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, well, welcome everyone to our special meeting to talk about our water and sewer rates and the budget and some broadband discussion. So if I can get a mover and a seconder to open the meeting, please. Belinda and Peter. Okay, that's moved by Belinda Kistemaker, second by Peter Kistemaker. Be it resolved that we do call this special meeting of council to order on Wednesday, March 10th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Those in favor? And that's carried. And the next item is to approve the agenda. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Drago and Belinda. Moved by Drago Stefanik, second by Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that the council hereby approve the agenda as presented. Those in favor? And that is carried. And item number 4 is disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof and declaration of conflict of interest. Council, you can do that now and anytime during the meeting if such a situation arises. So we're off to the races and we'll give the floor to Melissa with our first presentation on municipal budget.
Thanks, Cheryl. I just want to start off by saying this is my sixth budget that I've started since I've been the municipal treasurer, and it's definitely the hardest one that I've had to do in all of the years. COVID was really impacted the revenues and expenses this year, and it was really hard, really tough to come to a balanced budget to bring before council. So I just wanted to let you guys know that and keep it in the back of your minds, because the budget is, I'm not trying to say it's perfect, and if you're going through it and you see something that you don't think fits, by all means send your requests over. Nothing's written in stone, and I'm open to anything that you guys have to suggest. So I'm gonna start off with a little video, and I'm gonna share my screen to see if technology is gonna work with me. And I'm actually gonna go off of camera because it's saying that my camera is making my internet slow. So I'm gonna just turn off my camera. Yeah.
Okay, I would like to help you understand how your city develops its budget. We always hear about them, and often this can feel like another language altogether. Before we get started, there is important information you should know. Ontario cities like Timmins receive only 9% of all taxes collected, but are responsible for over 60% of the infrastructure. That infrastructure wears out over time and needs to be replaced if the service is going to continue to be provided. Let's start by looking at what the word budget means. Simply put, it is a planned, itemized summary of money that is coming into the city and how that money is spent for a specific period of time. It is very important to note that provincial government legislation in Ontario states money coming in equals money going out, all known as revenue equals expenditures or a balanced budget. The City of Timmins provides a multitude of services to the citizens of Timmins, so City Council and administration always have to make difficult decisions to ensure this balancing takes place. There are two main components of the budget when looking at the money going out side of the scale. Operating pays for all the day-to-day activities of the organization. This includes items such as salaries and wages, utilities, supplies, fuel, and insurance, just to name a few. The capital budget pays for all the new big investments or the rehabilitation of current assets under the city's control. So let's focus on how the city collects to pay for all these services. For every dollar that comes into the city, 63 cents comes from property taxes, 24 cents from grants and subsidies, and 13 cents from user fees and other sources. So now we've learned what a budget is, how cities collect money, and how they spend it. Now let's take a look at how these pieces work together. Money comes in through property taxes, grants, and subsidies, and user fees. The money collected is required for both the operating and capital budget. We've already talked about the operating budget, including day-to-day expenses, but it also includes money for funding capital budgets. The capital budget pays for investments in our city's infrastructure, assets and equipment that are expected to last for many years into the future with proper annual maintenance. We pay for the capital budget items with a combination of three sources of funds: an amount allocated from the annual operating budget, reserve funds set aside in prior periods specifically for capital expenditures, and debt, which will be repaid by future years' annual property taxes. Okay, so let's recap. 1. A budget is a plan for money coming in and money going out. There are two building blocks to the city budget: operating and capital. 2. The operating budget is like paying your house bills to keep the lights on. Just like a normal household, the city's costs are subject to inflationary increases. 3. The capital budget is like your major outlays: vehicles, house, renovations, etc. 4. Money comes in from three sources: property tax levy, user fees, and grants and subsidies. 5. Money coming in is used to deliver a multitude of services to city residents. 6. City Council, with input from administration and the public, decide how to best balance the city budget, guided by provincial legislation.
So I thought that was a cool little video. Gail and I were taking a course, Municipal Finance 101, within the last few weeks, and they showed a similar one that was for the City of London. So I went searching for it and found that one, which I thought was pretty cool. So I'll just put this up on my screen while I'm, excuse me, going through the budget line by line, so public does have something to look at. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna skip the operating budget for now and go right to the capital budget to start off with, because there are some items that I put in the capital budget that are operating, but I wanted to distinguish them so council would have an idea what they were. So the capital budget starts on page 66.
And I guess you are starting to use QuickBooks Online or are thinking about setting yourself up in QuickBooks Online.
Oh, I got a
Now,
video
this
playing in the
video
back, I
will
guess.
walk you through,
One sec.
the entire account creation, setup of the new account. I'll explain some of the different options. We'll talk about doing the initial configuration and preferences.
I was wondering who was talking there. So is everybody on page 66 ready to go?
Yeah, it looks like we have confirmation from everyone, Melissa.
Okay, so on page 67, the revenue that came in for capital for 2020 was our OFSIF formula component and our federal gas tax. But in 2020, we didn't have any capital expenses to spend these funds. So those two amounts were put into deferred revenue. So there was $221,384 that was put into deferred revenue for future years for capital projects. So on the next page, page 68, These are a mixture of capital and special projects. So the long range waste management plan is a project that we are planning on doing this year, which will fall into 2020 as well. So the total amount for that is $160,595, which will be funded through the Planning and Development Reserve. The Community Wellbeing Plan the Community Improvement Plan, which would be funded through the Planning and Development Reserve at a cost of approximately $30,000. The Municipal Energy Plan, a grant of $21,037.50, and the same amount from the municipality, which would be transferred from Planning and Development Reserve. Then there's the airport project, which in fact is a capital project. The total amount for the airport project is $4.8 million. $4.5 million comes from the grant, and this is where we would use our deferred revenue federal gas tax of $215, plus our federal gas tax that we would get in 2021 for $62,000, and then this project would also require our federal gas tax from 2022 for $45,158. Revitalization project and investment readiness project, which is an operating portion. The grant would be $75,000 and transfer from the reserve, Community Wellbeing Reserve, for $75,000. On the next page, page 69. Service delivery review implementation. So we just got notice a few weeks ago that they've come out with a municipal modernization fund for up to $250,000 grant portion. So I'm expecting that we'll apply for $123,000, and our portion for that project would be $41,000, and we could transfer that from the Community Wellbeing Reserve for a total project of $164,000. The asset management plan is also operating. We would get up to $50,000 from the Federation of Communities Municipalities, and transfer from Reserve Planning and Development Reserve of $5,555. The Pavilion Park Revitalization Project was a grant that came in as a result of COVID, and it was 100% funded. So that grant has been submitted for $97,604. And the community needs assessment is also 100% funded grant at $35,000. And then we have the dechlorination project. So we would be applying for financing for $939,593. We would use our deferred revenue from OFSIF formula component for $3,356, and then our 2021 OFSIF formula component, the whole amount for $161,925. And the last capital project would be to purchase an excavator float, and
Melissa, I can't hear you.
this would be transferred from our capital reserve. I did put 40,000 in there. It would be between 17,000. Yeah.
Could you start again at the excavator float? You cut off.
17,000 and oh, okay, sorry.
No, that's okay.
The float for the excavator to transfer from our capital reserve. Pardon me?
Yes, please. It cut off there.
Okay, so I was just talking about the excavator float. So transfer from the capital reserve for $40,000. I was just saying that I put $40,000 in the budget. However, our public works manager stated that it could be between 17,000 and 40,000. So I just put the maximum amount in there, but it could be a lot less.
Okay, thanks.
So then on the next page, page 70, these are these are the expenses, which the top one shows deferred revenue, which was done this year. The long-term loan payments is also a part of our capital budget. So our Public Works Department, excuse me, long-term loan payments is $47,395, which is our long-term loan payments for our grader, our sander, rolling stock, and a portion of, oh no, sorry, that the other one is short-term loan, which is for our new pickup truck. Excuse me. And that is $8,140 for 2021. And we do have long-term loan payments for water and wastewater, which I've taken out of this for clarity and ease of reference, and I've put them into the operating budget, but they are, however, capital expenses. So in the next line, transfer to reserve, we don't have anything budgeted for 2021, but there was $4,693 transferred into the landfill reserve for 2020. And then the last line on that page is capital and special projects, which just highlights each of the amounts that I went through on the previous page.
Okay,
So
could we just stop there and ask if there's any clarification questions? Melissa, is that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just council, if you have any clarification questions at this time, just so that we don't get too far into it. And of course, there's going to be a time to submit requests further. I don't see any. Okay, we can continue, Melissa.
Okay, I'm on not the next page, but page 72. I just put that, council can go through it on their own, but this all of the amounts that I was saying that were going to come from the reserves and deferred revenue are just highlighted on page 72 and 73. So it shows what the changes were from 2020, what came out and what went in. And then on the second last column, the 2020 draft budget, those are the amounts that I have within the budget to come out and go into reserves. And then the last page is the calculations of the debt. So if we want to go to the beginning of the package, to revenue.
Is everyone at the beginning of your package? Are we all on the same page, everyone? Okay, you can continue, Melissa.
Okay, I'm going to skip page 2 for now because that's the calculations of the municipal levy. So we'll go through everything else before we go through that. So on page 3, this is administration revenue. So there was quite a few changes from 2020 to 2021. So a decrease of $8,000 in penalty and interest, a decrease of $3,200 in penalty and interest, water and sewer, a decrease of $1,000 in penalty and interest accounts receivable, a decrease of $18,000 in interest income, and a decrease of $10,000 in miscellaneous rents and revenue. So in the admin portion, an increase of $300 to OMPF. So overall, the admin department is a decrease in revenue of $39,900. The next page is status quo. There's no revenue that comes in the council department. The service delivery review on page 5. We did budget last year $257,800. We did, however, only spend $237,000. So the $19,915 is deferred revenue. So we put that into the 2021 budget. So there was a change in there because we didn't spend it all in 2020. So there is $19,915 for our 2021 budget. On the next page, page 6, there's an increase of $480 to the miscellaneous rents and revenue, and that's because we have new agreement with one of our people that provide services for, and the fire department recoverable was increased $2,000 as we brought $6,000 in 2021. So overall, the fire department was increased $2,480. Excuse me. Emergency management. So this is the COVID-19 funding that we received from the province. We did receive a little bit more in 2020 than $43,000, but I'll go through that at the end of the presentation. And we've received 2 notices that we will be receiving funding again for 2021. Our first amount that we've received already is $20,000, and we will be receiving $26,834 in 2021. Sorry. The next page, on page 8, is miscellaneous rents and revenue policing. So this is the money that we get in from the POA. It was decreased $5,000 as we're not getting as much as we were anticipating in previous years. So that department is a total decrease of $5,000. On page 9, bylaw, dog and cat tags were left status quo, and pound fees and fines were reduced $500. So a total change of $500 in that department. On page 10, building, the transfer for reserve $115,000. As you know, we've put that back into our community well-being. So that was taken out of the budget from 20 to 21, and the building permits stayed status quo. On the next page, page 11, Public Works Department. All items stayed status quo from 20 to 21. Aside from Canada Summer Jobs, there was an increase there of $30,645, and that's because we applied for 6 students, and their percentage is a lot higher this year than in normal years because of COVID. So on to the next page, airport. Airport stayed status quo. I considered reducing these a little bit, but given that we just passed our new bylaw for user fees for airport, I think that it would be okay to leave it as high as they are. So same, if we didn't pass our new bylaw, I think they would have had to go down. I'm going to skip water and wastewater for now because we have another presentation in regards to that specifically. So on to page 14, garbage landfill. I increased the garbage tipping fees by $6,000. Our actuals for 2020 were actually $18,000, but that's due to the demolition of the CN station. So we won't be expecting that much this year. And then landfill recovery costs, I increased it $3,700, and that's due to the environmental drain all company that comes, so we have some cost recovered from there. On page 15, cemetery, I increased care and maintenance plots by 200, and columbarium niche by $10. So an overall increase of $210 in that area, and that's just due to past trends. Recreation, Parks and Rec on page 16. The summer experience program was put in. We applied for that grant for $3,723, which is a 100% funded program. And then miscellaneous parks revenue was decreased 3,100. On the next page, page 17, town center. All of the revenue has been taken out of town center. As you know, we're no longer renting those facilities anymore. On page 18, arena, I reduced the arena user fees to $12,000, which is a reduction of $17,500. So those are the revenues I'm anticipating coming in for November and December should the arena open during those months. And that's the only change to arena. Curling club on the next page, page 19, all of the revenues were taken out of curling club as they're not opening this year and they normally don't open until January. So there will not be any revenue coming in for November or December. So no revenue at all for the curling club for 2021. On the next page, canteen, page 20, I increased the revenue for canteen to $13,800, and that's an increase of $8,800. That's due to the new agreement we have with our tenant, and we also have an agreement for her to rent a little portion that's inside of the arena, as well as cost recovery for propane. The fitness facility, the user fees was decreased $5,000. And I have in their transfer to reserve for $20,000. That is something that I wanted to speak to council about. And if council is in agreement, I can do something up for the next council meeting. But I would, I'm asking council if they would be willing to put $20,000 into reserve from our budget, or from our 2020 budget to be put into our 2021 budget, since we were going to purchase some used equipment and refurbish them for the fitness facility, which wasn't done this year. So that's something I would like council to consider to move to 2021. Library on page 22. The only increase to the revenue is the township grant for $12,595, and that's due to increased expenses to offset the library's expenses. Economic development, there's a decrease in the overall budget of $96,224. This is actually because we budgeted this year $200,000 from NWMO, but we only spent approximately, well, there was $144,000 of deferred revenue. So, excuse me, 88,000 of that will go into the 2021 budget, and the remaining will go into the 2022 budget. Then we have the provincial grant, which is NOHFC, and then the federal grant, which is FedNor. The planning and development reserve, or sorry, planning and development department, which was on page 24. We do.
Are you speaking, Melissa? I can't hear you.
I took out the $230,000 transfer to reserve. I also took out the federal, as I was saying, when I went through the capital and special projects, we do have money that belongs in here. It's just put into that for ease of reference at this time. So when we put it in for passing and into our system, it'll be put into this department. And Service Ontario on page 25, that was reduced $6,500 from past trends. We're not getting in as much revenue for Service Ontario that we had been expecting in previous years. On page 26, NWMO, that's been completely taken out of our budget as we no longer have NWMO in Hornpayne. On page 27, there's a little bit of a difference in the education. The government kept all of the education rates at the same rates as 2020. However, the change in our assessment values made them change up a little bit. So it's a decrease of $4,837. So on page 28 is a summary of the revenue. Excuse me. So the budget amount for revenue operating is $4,727,824. And as you can see, it's a decrease of $1,353,000 from 2020.
Is there any questions from council or any clarity questions on that revenue side at this time? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Melissa, you're welcome to go ahead.
Okay. So in the expense section of the budget, I adjusted the 2020 budget and did the 2021 budget at the same time. So some of the 2021 budgeted items are reflected on the adjusted budget, but some of them were kept the same. So I will highlight those. I'm just gonna grab a ruler here. So salary and wages and all the benefits, they've all been calculated based on our agreements, our fee agreement, and our staff, our scale for senior management. And then all of the benefits have been calculated based on the rates provided by the government. Furniture and equipment. This was increased $10,000 due to the fact that we need a new photocopier in our office. Ours is continues to break and it's time for it to be replaced. The insurance is something that I wanted to highlight to council. For 2020, it shows a budget of $26,000. That's that amount is so low because it's been reallocated to all of the departments, but initially, if it was all together in one department, our insurance was $69,165. So in 2021, our insurance is $113,335. So that's an overall increase of $42,170. Materials and supplies were adjusted in our 2020 budget and increased to 1,600 or 16,000 from 14,000. So then that was left at 16,000 in the 2021 budget. The memberships for administration or memberships were originally budgeted 5,100 and adjusted to 5,500 and left at 5,500 for the 2021 budget. Our telephone, fax, and internet at the admin department was originally budgeted $12,000. It was increased, adjusted to $13,000, and then 2021 it was left at $13,000. There was no change to advertising and public relations. Travel and training was budgeted at $15,000 and increased to $25,000 in 2021, and then 2020, and then 2021 it was left at the original budget of $15,000. Postage was decreased $500. Tax collection services were decreased $1,000. The reason why I decreased tax collection is I don't think that there's going to be too much in that area this year due to COVID. We'll see how it goes. Legal was decreased $2,000. The auditing, there was no change to that. The next change is subscriptions. subscription was originally budgeted $300, and it was adjusted in the 2020 budget to $9,150, and then in 2021 budget put down $50 to $9,100. And the only other change in the administration department is the GIS implementation project. It was budgeted last year at $12,140, and we have a new agreement with them this year, reduction of $3,090 for a budgeted amount of $9,050. So on to the next page, page 31. Excuse me. Materials and supplies for council was decreased to $1,500 to $500. All of councilors' travel was decreased by $1,500, and the mayor's travel was decreased $3,500, and all vehicle allowance stayed the same. Service delivery review on page 32. So this is what I was speaking about during the discussions about the revenue. So this is where we spent all of our different money for an amount of $237,000, which gave us $19,000 to move into the 2021 budget. So we have 19,000 for salary and wages and 915 for travel and training and professional development. So the fire department on page 33, the salary and wages was increased $135, and all of the benefits were calculated according to their wages. The furniture and equipment was decreased by $4,000. The materials and supplies were decreased by $900. The telephone was decreased by $500. The 911 dispatch was decreased by $300 for an overall decrease in the fire department of $12,255. Emergency management on page 34. So this is where we expense all of our COVID expenses to. So for this year, I only budgeted $20,000. However, we are getting the $49,000, like I mentioned earlier. And the reason why I didn't put the further expenses in here for emergency management, so we could have some room to use some of the COVID funding to put into our budget for loss of revenue. So we could put it into the arena or the curling club or the fitness facility instead of using it towards directly to expenses, so it could cover lost revenue. So this amount, or this department is $21,000 for a decrease of $500 from 2020. So on the next page, page 35, policing department also had a 911 service dispatch, so that was removed and added into the fire department budget. And the policing expense was increased $595, and that's for our OPP obligation. The next department is bylaw on page 36. So salary and wages was increased by $2,000. Materials and supplies decreased by $17,000 to $300, and advertising public relations decreased to $300. So a total decrease in that department by $220. On the next page, travel and training and professional materials and supplies was increased to $1,000, increased by $500, and the building demolition was removed from this department. So a decrease of $114,500. So on page 28, Public Works. So you probably saw throughout the budget in Public Works and Airport, I have blocked off some black. So like I've done previous years, I budgeted the whole amount for salary and wages and benefits right here it's all encompassed on the first 6 or 7 lines here. And once the amounts are known, it'll get distributed throughout those departments. So that's all been calculated. So materials and supplies was decreased $5,000. Electricity was decreased $5,000. Telephone was decreased $500. Travel and training and professional development was decreased $1,000. Furnace oil was decreased $500. Repair and maintenance building was decreased $4,000. Gas was decreased $5,000. And diesel fuel was decreased $10,000. Public Works, GMC, so we didn't have that at the beginning of 2020. So, excuse me, the 2020 budgeted items were put in there from shifting from other departments. And then for our 2021 budget, there's a $1,000 for repair and maintenance vehicle. On page 29, Sander, materials and supplies were decreased $3,000 to $4,000, and repair and maintenance equipment was decreased $2,000 to $13,000. Propane for the steamer was decreased $250 to $750. Oh, sorry, I missed one there. Materials and supplies for the steamer was increased by $100. The Packer was, the repair and maintenance for Packer was increased $700. The, excuse me, Public Works small tools, there was $10,000 put into that department, and that's to purchase small tools to perform our own digs for our water and wastewater digs. 3006 Public Works Ford, excuse me, the repair and maintenance vehicle was decreased $1,000. On to the next page, page 40. Recreational interdepartment vehicle, so that's our lead hands vehicle. The materials and supplies was increased by $500, and the repair and maintenance was decreased by $1,000. It was, so the actuals were high this year because that vehicle did get new tires. The sweeper, the amount stayed status quo. The backhoe, the amounts stayed status quo. And the grader, it was repair and maintenance equipment was increased by $3,000. On the next page, the Freightliner repair and maintenance was decreased by $2,000 to $5,000. The loader, furniture and equipment was decreased $15,000, and that amount was in there for 2020 because we did purchase that bucket. And repair and maintenance was decreased $5,000. The excavator, we didn't have a budget for that this year, as we didn't have that, or in 2020, we didn't have that.
I can't hear you right now, Melissa. Are you speaking?
So there was $500 put in there for materials and supplies and $2,000 for repair and maintenance. Capital expenses, we were decreased $5,000 to $15,000 for a total of $15,000. On page 42, hardtop, 3034 hardtop, materials and supplies was increased by $7,000, and the reason for that is there was $17,000 in 2020 originally put in there, but it was decreased $7,000 to purchase loose top. So then in loose top, it was originally $48,000, and it was increased to $56,700. So I left it at $40,000 as the original budget was in 2020. On the next page, page 43, dust control. There's no change in those expenses. Gravel pit, there was no change in those expenses. Snow plow, there's no change in those expenses. All of those are just personnel, wages and benefits. Sand and salt was originally $20,000, but was increased to $22,500 in 2020. So it was left at $22,500 in 2021. There's no change in culvert thawing. On page 44, signs and guardrails, equipment maintenance, and public works non-subsidized. There's no changes in any of those categories. And on page 45, long-term debt. So this is the interest that we pay on our long-term loans. It was decreased $1,185 to $7,070. On to the next page, page 46 is street lights. There was no change in street lights. The amount stayed status quo. On page 47, airport materials and supplies were decreased by $4,000, and the electricity was decreased by $3,000. So a total of $7,000 change in those areas. On the next page, page 48, airport loader. There was a decrease of $15,000 to repair and maintenance. So the 2021 budget is set at $1,000 for that. Airport loader plow, materials and supplies was decreased to $500, so a decrease of $1,500. Repair and maintenance equipment, a decrease of $500 to $1,000. Loader bucket, materials and supplies was decreased by $500 to $500. And repair and maintenance equipment, a decrease of $1,000 to $1,000. On the next page, page 49, we'll skip water and wastewater for now. On page 50, garbage and landfill. So furniture and equipment was decreased $3,800. Materials and supplies was decreased $500. The capital expense was removed from this department, so that's at zero. The landfill monitoring contract is $10,830, so a decrease of $9,170. We have a new contract with Pension for our landfill monitoring. Garbage collection contract is increased by $7,500, and that's due to our new contract we have for garbage collection. And repair and maintenance was increased to $1,000, so an increase of $500, and that's due to the new window that was put up at the transfer station. The compactor at the landfill, there was no change in that area, and the landfill Mack truck is out of commission. We no longer use that vehicle. So on page 51, the Porcupine Health Unit remained status quo. There was no increase to that this year. Health and safety, so materials and supplies, there was $500 in that state status quo. Travel and training was decreased $4,500 to $100, and service dispatch remained the same. Social assistance, which is ADSAB, that is stayed the same from 20 to 2021. I have not received any information from ADSAB. I did send them an email, ask them if they passed their budget, but I did not receive a response. So on to cemetery. The only change in here is the capital expenditure. In 2020, there was $6,000 in there, and it's been decreased to $2,000. On to the next page, page 53. Recreation Committee. There was a charge this year, or an expense this year of $312. So that was put into the 2020 budget. That was shifted from another department, and then this year that was removed. Excuse me. Recreation Administration, salary and wages was $2,000 last year, and then it was reduced to $1,500, and then this year last year was adjusted to $1,500, and then in 2021 it was reduced to $1,000. And that department is where we pay our lady that does the seniors fitness program. So I don't anticipate that there'll be too much of that this year. In the same department, materials and supplies, it was $1,500 last year, and it was reduced to $500 this year. Parks and recreation were calculated based on our QP agreement. Materials and supplies were reduced $500 from $650 to $6,000. So on to the next page, page 54 is town center. So everything's been shut off at the town center. There will be an insurance charge in there, but I've blacked that out. It's currently budgeted in the admin department. Other than that, there will be no expenses for the town center. The next page, page 55, arena. So the membership for the arena has been decreased to $500, so a decrease of $600. The electricity was decreased $10,000 based on the amount that we spent in 2020. Repair and maintenance building was decreased $8,000 to $20,000, and the propane at the arena was decreased to $10,000, a decrease of $3,000. On the curling club on page 56, the only expenses that I left in there this year was materials and supplies, and for $1,500, and repair and maintenance building for $5,000. And as you know, the curling club won't be running this year, so that's just for our staff to do some repairs while the club's closed. On page 57, canteen. There was $1,000 put in for furniture and equipment, and that's due to the fact that they might need a new cold table. Repair and maintenance building, $10,000 in there last year, and that was decreased to $5,000 for this year. And for 2020, there was an adjustment made for propane. $6,000 was taken out of the arena department and put into the canteen department, and the amount for propane is $6,000, remains the same for 2021. Fitness facility, the salary and wages and benefits is based on 2 students working 24 hours a week for 32 weeks. And this is an item that could be covered from our COVID expenses, or COVID revenue, sorry. Electricity was increased to increased to $25,000, and this is due to the fact that the curling club will be closed this year, so all of the electricity from the curling club will be coded to the fitness facility, and it was decreased $10,000 as opposed to what it was budgeted in the curling club. So on page 59, library. Materials and supplies was decreased $1,000. Advertising and public relations was decreased $100. Ebooks for the library was decreased $3,200. Audio books was decreased $6,000. And repair and maintenance for equipment was decreased $2,000. So it does show that changes from 2020 to 2021 is $25,125. That's actually skewed a little bit. We do put in the annual requisition by the township in there as an expense. So it's an in and out just for bookkeeping purposes. So the actual change in expenses for the library is the annual requisition, which is $12,595. So you can see that on the 6th line from the bottom. So economic development, the salary and wages have been calculated for both of our personnel we have in that department. Furniture and equipment has been reduced $3,000. Travel and training has been reduced to $20,000 to $10,000. The postage was increased $200 to $5,000 or $500. The office rental was decreased from $18,000 to $9,000, and that's to the fact that we'll be owning that apartment halfway through the year. And the service, professional services, is $66,665, and that is expenses related to the Municipal Service Corp. And on to page 61. I currently do not have any expenses in planning and development. I've mentioned previously, it is highlighted in the special projects. Service Ontario, on page 64, all of the wages and benefits are currently budgeted in the admin department, and there's only $250 for advertising and public relations in that department. On page 63 is NWMO, and that's been completely removed from the 2021 budget. And education, as I said before, that's a little bit changed due to the change in the assessment. So on page 65 is the total for all of the operating budget for $4,671,354, a decrease of $1,357,761.
How would you like to proceed, Melissa? Would you, is there any clarification from council at this time on the second half of the expenses? I don't see any.
Okay, so the next portion is the tax rate and the municipal
Melissa,
levy. So I'm going to show another little short video in regards to how tax.
Melissa, can you repeat that? I didn't hear any of that that you said.
I said that the next portion that I want to speak about is the municipal levy and the tax rate. So I'm going to show another video in before we go into that second portion.
Okay, just
I want to explain to you how assessment and taxation work. Let's start off by creating a small town with only 3 houses. Each house is different and has a different value. The first house has a market value of $200,000. The second house has a value of $250,000. The third house is valued at $350,000. The city supplies services, and the money to pay for these services is recovered through property taxation. Let's imagine that the town needs to collect $1,200 to pay for these services. To calculate the tax rate, you divide the cost to provide services by the total assessed value of all the properties in the town. This establishes a tax rate. Now, to calculate how much tax each home pays, we multiply the tax rate by the assessment. As you can see, the first house would pay $300, the second home would pay $375, and the highest valued home would pay $525. Let's summarize what we've covered so far. 1. Assessment places a market value on each property. 2. The total assessment is used to calculate the tax rate. 3. Taxes pay for the cost of city services, like roads, fire protection, snow removal, parks, etc. Let's imagine that another year has passed and that property values have increased by 4%. Now, let's imagine that the cost of providing services has remained the same, $1,200. The tax rate is the cost of services divided by the total assessment. The result is that all owners still pay the same tax as before because the cost of services has not changed. Let's summarize what we've covered so far. 1. Assessment increase does not necessarily mean more taxes are collected. 2. If all assessments go up equally, everyone pays the same as long as the cost of services stays the same. Now, let's imagine another year passed and values did not increase at the same rate. Home 1 remained at the same value, $208,000. Home 2 increased by 1%, $262,600. Home 3 increased 3%, $374,920. The cost of services stayed the same at $1,200. Here's the math. $1,200 divided by the new assessment total equals the new tax rate. The net effect of the new values sees house 1 paying less tax and the house that went up 3% paying a higher proportionate share. If all assessments do not go up equally, there's a redistribution of the tax. However, the total tax collected remains the same. What happens if the cost of services goes up? Let's do the math. Services now cost $1,400. The result is a different tax rate. As you can see, an increase in service cost results in a tax increase. But suppose that the cost of services went up, but also one more home was now built in the town and it was worth $300,000. The new total assessment is now $1,145,520. This results in a new tax rate. The new house now helps pay for the cost of services, and the result is that everyone pays less. This is a hypothetical representation of how the process works. The key points are: 1. Total assessment value is used to calculate tax rates. 2. An increase in property value does not always mean an increase in taxes. 3. New construction helps pay the overall tax burden. 4. Taxes are based on the cost of providing services that citizens want and need. And that explains how assessment and taxation work.
Meet the Johnsons.
Oh my
They
gosh.
live in a typical BC municipality. They are homeowners, and each January they receive a property.
So that's another cute little video.
Thank you for that. It was really well done.
It provides some good information so citizens can understand where their property taxes are going.
Right. And why the mayor always talks about we need to build.
So I just want to draw your attention to page 2. So this is where the municipal levy is calculated where the tax rate is calculated. So just to bring your attention to the fact that our assessment values didn't increase at all from 2020 to 2021. I'm sure you all know that because of COVID, there was all of the assessment values did stay the same, but in our community, we did have a little bit of a decrease in the assessment from RFRs and whatnot. So our the overall assessment decreased with no phased-in value for 2021, which resulted in a loss of taxation revenue for our municipality without any changes to the services of $4,247.46. So in order for us to maintain the same level of service, we have to increase the tax rate, that amount, in addition to the increased services that we're providing. So based on the levels of service and the revenue expenses that I previously presented, a 1.5% increase to the tax rate is required, which would yield to $24,407 for a total municipal levy of $1,958,120. And a 1% tax rate increase for 2021 would yield $19,104.19.
Melissa, just a question. When you were talking about the COVID dollars of the 49,000, were they, are they already included in this amount?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Melissa,
Yeah.
can you tell me what the total of the 1% tax rate increase was, the number again?
$19,104.
Thank you.
Whoops. So that comes to an end of the municipal budget portion, and if council's ready, I'm ready to go into the 2021 water and sewer rates.
Council, do you have any questions on the municipal budget portion at this time? No? Okay, you're good to go, Melissa.
All right. So the 2021 aqua cost for this year is operation and maintenance for $432,620. So that's for water. The wastewater system, the operation maintenance is $333,312. Water unscheduled capital, we budgeted $100,000 for that. And then the 2021 capital projects through Aqua is $135,000 for total Aqua cost of $1,933.11. So this next slide shows what Aqua is planning on doing for our 2021 capital budget. So backup plan for the water treatment plant, pump well maintenance, filter train replacement parts, valve replacement and repairs, which came out of a 2020 report, a recommendation from that report, turbidity meter upgrades, and on the wastewater side, sludge haul for the year, clarification maintenance plan, CCTV sewage mains, and clarification and concrete inspection. So the total capital budget, like I said, is $135,000. The total costs for on the township side, outside of Aqua costs, for our wage interdepartmental, that's 10% of our frontline workers. So that's $14,305. Advertising and public relations, $1,000. telephone and alarm system, $4,000, and hydrogeological assessment for the sludge site, $7,175. So the total operating expenses from the township is $26,480. And these are our long-term loan payments. So our water treatment plant, we have two payments a year at approximately $32,000 each. And we have another long-term loan for our wastewater treatment plant that was phase 2 of our OSIF program. So 68% of that long-term loan is attributed to the wastewater. So that's approximately $10,000 each payment. So our 2020 long-term loan payments for the water treatment plant and the wastewater treatment plant is $85,317.55.
Melissa, can I just stop you there for 1 second? That new just under $1 million debt that we're going to incur in 2021, has that been calculated into any of the loan payments?
No.
No? Okay. When do we foresee those loan payments starting?
We have a meeting with them tomorrow, which we're going to discuss that with Aqua.
Okay. Okay, continue.
So to bring it all together, the Aqua costs, the township costs, and the total long-term loan payments, the total expenses for 2021 for water and sewer is $1,112,000, $730.75. So water and sewer rates are calculated on a cost recovery basis, with the township collecting enough revenue to meet operating and capital costs associated with both systems. In order to meet this requirement, we must generate an additional $30,866.44 in revenue. And just as a note, I put in there that this amount this budget already includes a $54,399 credit that comes down from Aqua from 2020 to 2021, and this represents an overpayment of what we paid in 2020. So this amount of $30,866 equates to an increase of 3.06% in the 2021 water and wastewater rates. So the recommendation for 2021 is to transfer the shortfall of $30,866 from the water and sewer reserve to support a 0% increase to the water and sewer rates. The current balance of the water and sewer reserve is $283,715. So the rationale for this recommendation: our service delivery review recommendation AF12 was to undertake a water and wastewater study. This study has commenced. We anticipate the study should be completed by August 2021, and changes to the water and sewer rates should be deferred at this time until the results of the study are received. Service delivery review recommendation PW06 was to purchase a shovel excavator. This equipment has since been purchased, and we anticipate that we are going to be saving from performing in-house digs. And as I mentioned earlier, $100,000 is budgeted for unscheduled repairs. However, this may be in excess of what is required. Our actual expenses for for 2020 was $124,000. We had a complication. One of our digs, as council is aware, and we don't anticipate those expenses being as high this year. And in fact, we anticipate them to be lower.
Melissa,
So
I apologize.
An impact of a 0% increase.
Can I cut in here, Melissa? Just, could we back up there, and could you let us know again? You cut out during talking about the the digs and the potential savings and what the total cost was for 2020?
The total cost was 124,000.
For 2020?
Yeah. And for all of the actuals for 2020, they're all included in the municipal budget under water and wastewater. So you can review them in that package.
Okay, thank you for that.
Just just 1 second, Cheryl. I'm just gonna get. So they are on page 49 of the package.
Page 49 of our
Yep.
budget package. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. So a 0% increase to the tax rate would, the rates would remain the same. So we've already budgeted, or we've already billed the first quarter billing at the residential at $433.79 per household. So the 3 final bills for 2021 would be $433.49. With, however, $30,866 would be required to transfer. So I did put a few other alternate options for council to consider should they not want to support a 0% increase. So I did 1%, 1.5%, 2.5%, and 3.06%. So those I won't go through them all, but I just wanted to highlight that the bottom portion of 1% would be $10,096 in additional revenue. Then $20,769 would be required to transfer from reserve. A 1.5 that would yield $15,144, and then $15,721 would be required to transfer from reserve. 2% increase, additional revenue would yield $20,193, and transfer from reserve would be $10,673. A 2.5% tax rate increase, additional revenue, it would yield additional revenue of $25,241, and transfer from reserve would be required in the amount of $5,624. 3% tax rate, or water and sewer rate, sorry, I meant water and sewer, not tax. Additional revenue would be $30,289, and transfer from reserve would be required in the amount of $576. Like I mentioned, the total amount, if you wanted to raise the total amount from water and sewer rates, it would require a 3.06% increase, which would provide $30,895, and $29.50 would be transferred to reserve. So this slide just gives you the summary of all of the options, and we are, however, recommending option number 1. And that brings us to the end of the water and sewer rates. So as council is aware, written inquiries and comments will be accepted from the public and from council from Thursday, March 11th, which is tomorrow, until March 17th at 4 p.m. And the written submissions can be submitted to me by mail or by email. And further to that, if the public would like to view the draft documents to formulate their questions and their comments, they can contact me and make an appointment to view them at the town office. Hard copies will not be provided and copies will not be allowed, as the budget is still in draft form, and the hard copies will have to be left at the office. They can just be viewed.
Okay, thank you for that, Melissa.
Okay, thank you.
I want to compliment you on the water and sewer rates for spelling it out, cost per person on each recommendation for each increase of doing that extra, like the daily increase, the annual increase to each percentage increase. Okay, is there any comments or anything now before we move on? And council, you have until the 17th to submit comments, same with all the public. Go ahead, Councillor Stefanik.
Yeah, through you, Mayor, to Treasurer, excellent job on the background information on our budget for the municipality, and as well the water and sewer. And also, I think it was a real bonus, Melissa, that you brought those two little videos. I think that certainly clarified for a lot of people, including us, to refresh our memory. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Gail.
So a couple of things. I just want to compliment Melissa as well on a job well done. I know it was a lot of work. This year's budget is particularly tight, partly due to COVID, and I think also because we've got a lot of funds right now tied up in grants, which is a good thing, but it really makes it hard. So it's been shaved a lot, and it's just a bit precarious to operate with a shaved budget like that, because there's not much room for unexpected expenses. So that's the other side of all the good stuff that we're doing. And with regard to the $100,000 for unscheduled capital, I just wanted to comment that yes, we've got our excavator, and we're looking at getting some tools to help us do better. But I think at least for this year, there are going to be times when we have to call a contractor in. Our men will have to gain experience, and better to be safe, at all times, and make sure that we get the job done in the best way. That's the safest way. So I think it's smart to leave that 100,000 in there for this year at least, and maybe see what our actuals are at the end of the year. And once they've got some, jobs under their belts, it may be more realistic to lower that number. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Go ahead, Melissa.
Sorry, I just had one further comment. I had written myself a note that I wanted to mention. There is currently $350,000 available in the levy stabilization reserve, which could potentially be used to fund something. So it should be used to provide stabilization on variables and uncontrollable factors. So in my opinion, I believe the increase in the insurance would qualify to be funded from this reserve. So council may want to consider using some of those funds to fund that specifically, or council may wish to use a combination of the levy stabilization reserve and an increase of the tax rate to fund that specific huge increase.
Okay, thank you for that, Melissa. So council, you can think on those things that we do, and Melissa addressed to our attention about what we created, the levy stabilization reserve. Okay. Oh, go ahead, Gail.
So just a note on that is the levy stabilization fund, and we did talk about this, Melissa and I, about the insurance being a possibility. But the other idea behind the levy stabilization is being able to replace the funds in that fund at some point so that we can continue using it. So I just wouldn't want it to be, depleted and then it's gone. So just to sort of keep that in the back of your minds is all.
Definitely. Thank you. Okay, if there's no further discussion on that, Thank you, Melissa, so much. And I reiterate Councillor Stefanik and all of Council and Gail's remarks. Thank you so much for all your hard work. And we do see the improvements every year to a little bit here and there. And it's good. It's good. Okay, we're going to move on. And our next topic on our agenda is item 6. 6.1 is a broadband discussion. So I want to draw your attention, Council, to our we deferred the council resolution that was brought forward, or the motion that was brought forward, and decided we need to research more. And through that research, we have found that there's many more questions, and from that also has arisen the need to have a closed session. And before we go into that closed session, I would like to let people know that are on the council meeting tonight, that if you get knocked off of the meeting, submit to come back into the meeting, click back onto your link, and someone should be able to assist you there if you're knocked off. We are dealing with some technical difficulties, and we're trying to keep 2 meetings open so that people can be right back on the meeting when we're done our closed session. And Gail, just for clarity, I did say that correctly, right?
Yes, you are correct. Thank you for making
Okay.
that announcement.
Okay, so if I can get a mover and a seconder to close this next portion, Peter and John. Moved by Peter Kistemaker, second by John Paroff. Be it resolved that the next portion of the meeting at 7:25 p.m. be closed to the public in order to discuss a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board pursuant of section 239(2)K of the Municipal Act 2001. Council, those in favor? And that is carried. So we'll all meet in our closed session link.
Hey, Melissa, did you get to my email? Yes, this morning early? Did you notice there's a background, somebody else is having a conference at the same time? I'm hearing them.
I think it's somebody's TV.
It's not mine. I don't have a TV on. I'm just here by myself. Okay, if I can get a mover and a seconder so we can open that, return to open, please. Drago and John. Moved by Drago Stefanik, second by John Paroff. Be it resolved that the council, the corporation, the township of Hornpain does hereby return to open council at 8:11 p.m. Council, those in favor? And that is carried. So from council's closed session, two motions have come from that closed session. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please, for the first motion for Bell, Belinda, and Peter. Moved by Belinda Kistemaker, second by Peter Kistemaker. Whereas the Government of Canada has established a Universal Broadband Fund, UBF, to provide broadband internet services in eligible unserviced areas across Canada. And whereas, based on Bell's analysis of the opportunities available, our community will be included as part of a Bell application to expand their fiber broadband network. And whereas upon successful application, our community will benefit from improved broadband access that supports the connectivity needs of residents, institutions, and businesses in the area, including broadband speeds using the world's fastest internet technology of up to 1.5 gigabytes per second for downloads and up to 940 megabytes per second for uploads. And whereas Bell has requested a letter of support for their UBF application that demonstrates that access to high-speed internet is a stated priority for our community. And therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornpain does hereby agree to provide a letter of support for Bell's funding application to the Government of Canada's Universal Broadband Fund. Put it to the vote. Those in favor, Council? And that is carried. And the second motion, I need a mover and a seconder for support for Hearst. Drago and Belinda. Moved by Drago Stefanik, second by Belinda Kistemaker. Whereas the Government of Canada has established the Universal Broadband Fund, UBF, to provide broadband internet services in eligible underserved areas across Canada. And whereas Hearst Connect Corporation, HCC, is planning to apply to the program to build upon their current fiber services and has indicated that there is a future potential for partnership and collaboration with the Township of Hornpain, which would benefit the community in terms of job creation, improved internet services, and extra revenue for the municipality. And whereas HCC has requested a letter of support for their UBF application that demonstrates that access to high-speed internet is a stated priority for our community, and therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Hornpain does hereby agree to provide a letter of support for Hearst Connect Corporation's funding application to the Government of Canada's Universal Broadband Fund. Council, those in favor? And that is carried. And we have the next item is our confirmatory. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Peter and Belinda. Moved by Peter Kistemaker, second by Belinda Kistemaker. Be it resolved that bylaw number 1845, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at their special meeting of council held on Wednesday, March 10th, 2021, be hereby read a first and second time and be considered read a third time and finally passed. Council, those in favor? And that is carried. And we are looking for the motion to adjourn. If I can get a mover and a seconder, please. Drago and Peter. Moved by Drago Stefanik, second by Peter Kistemaker. Be it resolved that we do adjourn this special meeting of council held on Wednesday, March 10th, 2021 at 8:16 p.m. Council, those in favor? And that is carried. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for the good discussion. Thank you for your presentation, Melissa. And I encourage all of council and all residents to submit comment to Melissa about water and sewer rates and our budget for this year.
Thank you. See you next week.
Yep. Bye, everyone.
This conference